This is the Dr. Roberts simplified version of how your brain works. And you start off with your thoughts in one nerve, it goes to the next nerve, then to the next one, then to the next one, and meets up with a block. You then go back to the beginning and start to think it through again. And meet the block, and round in circles you go. And all of us have done that at times of stress, lying in bed with our thoughts going around, wishing we could turn them off. The way your nerves communicate with each other is at one nerve ending you have a little bubble of chemical that goes across from one nerve to the next, and on receiving that bubble of chemical the next nerve fires off. Now as your thoughts go round and round, two things happen. You start to get too much of this chemical building up in the synapse, and that forces this nerve to fire off more quickly. At the same time, you start to run out of these bubbles of chemical to send across to the next nerve for the next time you want to send a message, and so you haven't got the wherewithal to send the message next time. So that you are simultaneously going too fast and too slow. We all have several things going on in our minds all the time. We have our primary set of thoughts that we're working through. We have another part of our brain telling us how to breathe, another part telling us how to work our hands. And we have another part which is a monitoring system that looks in on top of those thoughts and asks the question, is this thought reasonable? And so we're always asking ourselves and checking that what we're saying is correct and what we're thinking is correct. As you start to run out of neurotransmitter, one of the things that goes relatively early is this monitoring system, so that you lose the ability to decide whether you're being reasonable or not. One of the things I do to help people who are depressed is use medication, and I use one medication that slows the passage of this neurotransmitter across the synapse to slow things down. I also give them a medication that helps this chemical build up back in the synapse so that they can send their next message. So simultaneously speeding people up and slowing them down. Kiwis as a rule are somewhat reluctant to consider using medication. I had a time in Australia, and over there I frequently had people coming along to see me saying, I'm feeling a bit low, doc, give me a pill. And out of that I gave quite a few people medication that I wouldn't previously have given medication to. And I was surprised to find that a lot of those people really did benefit from it. As a rule, New Zealanders are reluctant to accept medication, and I think we do need to work towards that being seen as a more normal event. Sometimes people eventually, when people get low enough, they will say to me, well, I'll do whatever you think best, doctor. And so many people will eventually accept tablets. Sadly, often people have to get quite low before they'll do that. I want to leave that part of the talk there, and we're going to go on to something else. So, here we have this man, depressed, forced by IRD child support to work to a degree beyond what he is capable of. This is a definition from the encyclopedia on the internet of slavery. Slavery is a condition in which one person is under the control of another. Slavery almost always occurs for the purpose of securing labour or sexual availability of the slave. There is a specific form of slavery, known as chattel slavery, where one person outright owns another one. However, that is not so common. This is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which says no one shall be held in slavery or servitude, and that slavery and the slave trade will be prohibited in all their forms. I put it to you that men in this situation are effectively in slavery. This is a picture of how many men view their actions. This picture is deliberately fuzzy, and here we have a mother who is about to strike the baby, little child, and we have the man sitting here prevented from knowing what's happening so that he can't see, and yet forced to supply her with her daily needs, in this case a bottle of wine for her luxury while she abuses children. When confronted with this situation, men will think through all their options, and virtually all of them will consider suicide, murder or other significant harm to their partner, ex-partner, some form of action against the law or court or government, and I have one friend who keeps talking about driving a tank through the front door of Parliament. Some men take the option of just doing what they're told, but of course in the process they lose their self-respect. There are a variety of endpoints for men, but some of the common ones are permanently reduced contact with their children, suicide, imprisonment, personal estrangement from their children, and I personally know many men who haven't seen their children for 7 years or longer. Permanent loss of previous employment status and incapacity, and of course many end up addicted to alcohol or other drugs. I want to stop there for a minute and talk about what happens for the children